This is a little description of the discipline chemical engineering. Chemical engineering relates to the operation and design of chemical plants, and those chemical plants can be used for all sorts of different things. Operation and design of chemical plants. The sub areas for chemical engineering are biochemical engineering, related to biological chemical processes. Ceramics. Chemical process modeling. Chemical reaction engineering. Food engineering. Um, 6 is plastics engineering. Seven is semiconductors. Semiconductors are the chemicals that, when they are treated with a certain other chemical, they can become very good conductors of electricity. And if they're not treated in that way, then they don't conduct electricity well. And so you can use these for integrated circuits and microchips and things like that. And 8 is transport phenomena. If you study chemical engineering, a likely curriculum would start similarly to the other areas of engineering with calculus and differential equations. For science classes, it would involve physics and chemistry, but as you might imagine, it would be a lot more chemistry than the other areas. And then as you start taking classes in chemical engineering, you'd have to take thermodynamics, material science, reaction kinetics, transport phenomena, transport is just the movement of chemical, different types of chemicals. And 7th, biomolecular engineering. Two things that are worth keeping in mind about chemical engineering. The first one is that I mentioned this when I was talking about biomedical engineering. If you think there's a chance you might be interested in medical school, chemical engineering can be a really good fit for somebody who might end up going to medical school. In the process of satisfying your requirements for chemical engineering, you can get really close to finishing your requirements for applying to medical school. So it's a good fit if you're considering medical school. And in fact, my wife is a physician, and in college she majored in chemical engineering for exactly that kind of thinking, that she thought she wanted to go to medical school. She wasn't sure, so she wanted to major in something where if she decided she wasn't going to go to medical school or was going to put it off, she could get a good job in the meantime. Another important thing to consider about chemical engineering is the University of Minnesota is just phenomenally well known in chemical engineering. Normally, MIT and the University of Minnesota go back and forth as being considered the top two chemical engineering programs in the country. It's very hard to get accepted into chemical engineering at the U because of that, but it's a great opportunity to stay local and be at just a world-class place. So the U of M is outstanding in chemical engineering. And I'm sure related in some way or another is that there are good job opportunities in the Twin Cities, largely related to 3M being here. And so even though nationwide chemical engineering isn't a real big discipline in terms of the number of employees, engineers working in that area, in the Twin Cities it has a bigger profile. The occupational information about this. In 2023, the median salary for a chemical engineer was $112,100. There were a total of 21,400 chemical engineers working in the U.S. So, of course, I mean, that's a factor of 10 smaller than mechanical, civil, and electrical engineering. But there is a bigger number in the Twin Cities than that would suggest. There is expected to be 10% growth over the next few years, which is much higher than average. And the work environment, you can expect to be either in an office or in a lab.